What's up, guys? A little middle of the week video for you for a change, or first part of the week, depends on when I can get this uploaded. Little clarification, or making sure things are clear, but that would be clarification, wouldn't it? Okay. I've done some videos in the past, and have more planned in the future, regarding security patrols and patrolling. And I wanted to clarify a few things on that. I think most of you are on the same page, but just in case there's anybody that watches those or is watching them and isn't on the same page, I want to get that straightened out. Over the weekend, my old friend Southern Prepper 1 did a video, and my good friend JC Dodge shared it and wrote up a blog post on it. I'll put a link down in the description for you. You can click on it if you want to go read it. I highly encourage you to go read it. Let me repeat that. I highly encourage you to go read it, okay? The gist of what it was about was, people setting up to go do patrolling. And the problem is, people are setting up and gearing up and planning up to try to operate after things have gone bad like an infantry unit in the military. And that just isn't going to happen. In fact, even a couple of guys that were infantry and now aren't, still aren't going to be able to do what they did as infantry in the military, even with a prepper group, survival group, their neighborhood, whatever. They can put the people together and they can try to train them, and if they get the right people, they probably could train them up. But that takes a lot of time, and even if they could get them trained up now before things go bad, to operate like a military infantry unit doing patrolling, where you are actively going out and looking for a target to engage, there is so much more involved in it than just 20 or 30 guys going out to physically do the patrol, that it's not even funny, and we aren't going to have. From a logistics standpoint, a support standpoint, a coordination standpoint, an equipment standpoint, etc., etc. The two are not the same. And the clarification I want to make is, in my videos that I've talked about in the past, I've tried to be clear about this, but this is just in case anybody gets any misconception. I want this on the record, and hopefully it'll clear up where I'm coming from. When I'm talking about doing patrols, I'm talking about patrolling your immediate property, like your retreat property. Say you got 20 acres of property that you plan to go to. I'm talking about staying right on your property and maybe covering the outer boundaries of it. If you're in a subdivision, maybe just covering the boundaries of your subdivision. With, hopefully, you'd be able to enlist some neighbors, but even then, just doing that involves a lot of training and practice, etc. Now, I think it can be done as long as you keep it in the right context, but you've got to start on that now. Your physical shape and the physical shape of everybody that's going to do it with you has to be squared away, and you've got to have sought out some competent professional training. The exception to that would be if you are prior infantry, okay? I'm fortunate enough that a very, very close, one of my best friends, retired after 20 years in the infantry. Kind of made a career of it. So I trust him. I was not infantry. I was out in the woods doing stuff, but I wasn't infantry. I don't try to be. That's why you always hear me referencing people like JC Dodge, like my buddy, like other places. I'm still learning stuff. Some I already know, some for just refreshment, and then a lot of stuff that I know I still need to learn, and I'm trying to encourage you guys of where to go to learn the right stuff. Because you can mess up real bad real easy here, okay? Even best trained, I mean, prior infantry guys. This would be my advice to anybody that is prior infantry. Remember, you don't have an infantry unit, okay? Unless you're fortunate enough to have 20 or 30 guys that are all prior infantry with you. But even then, you're not going to have the logistics support that you did when you were active duty. So take everything that you know infantry-wise and tailor it more towards the survival side, the prepper side of it, right? J.C. Dodge is really good about that, in that he takes military basic techniques and fundamentals, but then adapts it for what we're doing as prepper survivalists. We are not infantry, and we can't act like infantry. That's why I always encourage you guys to, when it comes to gear, it's why I've done some of the videos that I have on gear about keeping it lightweight, simple. You don't kit yourself up, with 10 mags and an 80-pound ruck like you're going to be, kicking indoors in Fallujah for a week. That's not what we're going to be doing. That's a quick way to get deaded, okay? So again, that's not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about patrolling. I'm talking about your immediate area, your immediate property. If you want to put a number on it, I would say stick within 3/4 of a mile of your house, base of operations, whatever. And that's pushing the outer limits. Because you get too far away on foot and get into trouble, you ain't going to have any help to come get you and get back, or can get to you to help you in time. Not if they're on foot. There's just so many reasons why. I could talk for hours about it, but I just want to make that clarification. I'm not talking about combat patrols. I'm not talking about like search and destroy actual what active duty combat infantry does. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about keeping everything real tight. Even JC alludes to that in his blog post and comment on it about presence patrols. Even then, again, that's why your physical fitness has got to be, you got to get that squared away now. You've got to seek out training. You're not going to get it from watching a couple of videos or reading a couple of books. You have to have somebody that knows what they're doing to train you, so that you can practice it under their eye to make sure you're doing it right, and then go home and practice yourself. And then be real honest about what you're doing, okay? Because a presence patrol, and I'll just touch on this briefly, on your property serves a couple of things. One, it gives you a little bit of advance notice if somebody's trying to get close to you, if you're doing it right. Number two, it will also let other potential threats see that you are taking active security measures, and maybe you're not one to be, maybe they need to go look for an easier target, okay? Now, if somebody shows up that's prior infantry and they've got 20 guys and have had time to really train them up and really equip them and everything, you're screwed. I mean, there's no other way around it. You better have a plan to get out of there and get out of there in a hurry. There's not a whole lot you can do against that, because we don't have the time and resources and abilities to combat something like that. Now, as a defender, you will have somewhat of an advantage numbers-wise. JC alludes to that, but again, it's going to come back to planning, etc. So the idea is not for you to branch out and just be, wandering the countryside, patrolling, looking for trouble. It's to just give you a little bit of a security buffer, because if all you do is button up in your house, where you have no early warning of anything at all coming in, then you're pretty much screwed. Because even the most untrained thug of society can walk up to your front door then, and all they got to do is set the place on fire and burn you out. So buttoning up and bugging in isn't really an option. You're going to have some kind of forewarning. The trick is keeping it close. Forewarning may only be, like I said, a quarter, half a mile away from your house. That's still far enough away. You know if somebody's probing you, trying to get in or whatever. But you've got to keep it in context. It's not a military type operation, okay? Now, you know, we talk about it, and I've mentioned it. He says it, your physical fitness and all that. Maybe you're just not, maybe you don't have people that you can rely on that are in shape enough to do that kind of thing. Maybe you aren't. But the bottom line comes, if you just shut her up in your house, your chances of making it very long are pretty slim. So you may be forced to do it, and if you're forced to do it and you're not trained, not equipped, and not in the right shape, what do you think the obvious result's going to be? Pretty self-explanatory. So I guess from my standpoint, the bottom line is you're going to have to do it whether you want to or not, because if you don't, you ain't going to last long. So with that in mind, it's probably a pretty smart idea to start getting in shape enough to do it now and start learning how to do it now from a competent instructor. Shameless plug from, for J.C. Dodge at Mason-Dixon. He teaches the stuff. Go sign up, take a class from him, okay? There's probably plenty of other places out there too that I'm just not aware of. So that's the clarification I want to make, and I want to make sure it's real clear. I was not an infantry guy. I know a little bit from things that I did, which again was nothing special. Okay, I'm way down there. You can't see, but I'm way down here on the totem pole what I did. I just try to seek out guys that know what they're doing and learn from them as much as I can, and have for many, many years. And then try to pass that on to you guys as I can, with always the caveat, you've got to go seek training from a instructor that knows what he's doing, that's way above, my level even, okay? So without just rambling on another half hour, I just wanted to make sure that clarification was on the record so that nobody can try to come back and say anything later that I was advocating something that I'm not, because I'm not. I'll put a link up, like I said, to the post down the bottom. I encourage you to go read it, and and encourage you to give it some good thought. One of my other best friends, we've talked about this a lot, and I think he's got a really good point. We kind of should be looking at prepping and survival kind of from an old school pioneer homestead standpoint, right? Where you're getting set up to defend your immediate area. They had some methods for early warning, but in general they didn't branch out too awful far, because if they did and got into trouble, there wasn't any way to get help. So keeping things close in, not buttoned up in inside your house with nothing, but some layered defenses, and then a little bit of early warning. That is kind of the way that I think it should go. So again, read it, check it out. Wanted to get that on the record. Hope you guys stay safe, take care, and I will hit you up with another one soon.